There's a very specific kind of trap that smart people fall into.
Mm,
And I don't mean just like general intelligence. I mean people who are smart about mindfulness or psychology.
right. People who have done the reading.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's this incredibly subtle irony where you learn just enough about how the mind works to give yourself the perfect excuse to do absolutely nothing.
It is absolutely the hazard of sophisticated knowledge. You gain the vocabulary to justify your own stagnation.
Yeah.
You learn the architecture of the prison so well that you forget you can just walk out the door.
And the source material we're looking at today just calls this out in such a devastating way. It focuses on this one complaint we hear all the time. Maybe we've even said it ourselves.
Oh, definitely.
Everything is conditioned, so I can't apply this practice yet.
Yeah.
Basically, my anxiety is caused by A, B, and C, so I just have to wait for the conditions to change.
Right. And it sounds so wise, doesn't it? It sounds like patience and self-compassion.
It does.
But our deep dive today, which is based on a breakdown of the Sallekha Sutta, that's MN8 for the text heads out there.
No.
It argues this attitude is actually fatalism wearing Dharma clothes.
I love that phrase, but it also stings a little. Fatalism wearing Dharma clothes.
It's meant to.
It implies we're just dressing up our procrastination as spiritual wisdom. So our mission today is to really unpack this waiting trap. We're going to look at how we mistake waiting for insight, for actual practice, and how to get back to the original operating instructions.
And that really is the crux of it. The Sallekha Sutta is so unique because it isn't interested in your theories or your backstory. It just cuts right through the excuses. It's a text about immediacy.
Before we get into the really heavy stuff, can you explain the title? Sallekha. It sounds intense.
It is intense, yeah. Sallekha gives you this image of scratching or scraping away. It's often translated as effacement.
Effacement, okay.
The idea isn't that you're building up some new, better personality. It's that you're scraping away the gunk that's already there. It's a subtractive process, not an additive one.
Okay, so we're scraping away. But here's the conflict. The source points out that a lot of us say, I can't start scraping yet because the conditions aren't right. And honestly, I get that.
Of course.
If I'm exhausted or my boss is being a nightmare, it feels objectively true that I can't be mindful right now.
That feeling is absolutely real. No one is denying that. But the source material argues that the statement itself, I can't apply this yet, is a view.
It's a thought.
It's a thought that you are grasping. You are actively defending it. You're saying, my suffering is special. It requires a specific set of circumstances to change before I can even begin to address it.
So by saying I can't, I'm making a choice.
Precisely. You are engaging in a strategy of self-protection. The text tells us to do the exact opposite. It says, others will be clinging to views, grasping tightly, difficult to let go.
Okay.
We will not cling to views, not grasp tightly, easy to let go.
Easy to let go. That sounds so nice. But it feels impossible when you're in the thick of it. And the note here says the text doesn't say we will not cling.
Right.
Eventually.
Right. And this is where the real friction is. It doesn't say we will not cling once our childhood trauma is resolved.
Or once I've had 8 hours of sleep in a green smoothie.
Exactly. It's an immediate instruction. The mistake is assuming the instruction is conditional. We think, oh, when conditions are perfect, then I'll be able to not cling. But that move just quietly postpones all responsibility. It's the not yet defense.
Okay, but let me play devil's advocate for a second. If I'm in a rage, chemically, my brain is flooded with cortisol, right? Aren't I fighting biology? Isn't it valid to say I have to wait for this chemical wave to pass?
You can wait for the wave to pass, yes. But the question is, are you surfing the wave or are you feeding it? The waiting trap isn't about the biology. It's about the story you tell yourself about the biology. And the source identifies this as a confusion between two different ways of seeing the teaching. The temporal view versus the structural view.
Okay, let's unpack this, because this sounds like the engine of the whole misunderstanding. What's the temporal view?
The temporal view sees practice as a timeline. It's a narrative. I am here, enlightenment is way over there, and in between is this long period of time where I wait for conditions to line up.
So you're waiting for some future event, a flash of insight
or change in your environment, yeah.
Yeah.
To solve the problem of your suffering for you.
Which feels intuitive, though. We're used to things taking time. Time heals all wounds and all that.
We love that idea. But contrast it with the structural view. The structural view sees practice as a present moment relationship. It's not about when something happens. It's about how you're relating to your experience right now.
Okay.
The source uses a very visceral analogy here. It's simply, don't burn your hand.
I like this one, but I want to push on it because it sounds a little too simple. The analogy is, if you touch a hot stove, you just pull your hand away instantly. You don't wait.
Exactly. You don't stand there and say, well, historically, the stove has been heating up for 20 minutes and my hand has a long history of being burnable, so I must wait for the ambient temperature to drop before I remove my hand.
Right, because the pain is physical and immediate. But emotional pain like anxiety or jealousy, it doesn't always feel like a hot stove. Sometimes it feels magnetic.
Say more about that.
Like if I'm really angry at someone, I don't want to pull my hand away. I want to grab the stove and throw it at them.
That is a brilliant distinction. The sticky stove. But the structural reality is the same. Heat plus hand equals pain. The instruction to not cling is exactly like, don't burn your hand.
It's a present mode instruction.
It is. The teaching isn't wait for the fire to go out. It's notice that you are holding on to something hot and stop holding it.
Okay, but this is where I get stuck. And I think a lot of our listeners do too. When you say stop holding it, that sounds like repression. It sounds like I'm supposed to just bottle up my anger and pretend I'm all zen.
This is maybe the most common and dangerous misunderstanding of them all.
So how is dropping it different from just pushing it down?
Repression is an act of doing. You are actively using energy to hold a beach ball underwater. That's actually a lot of effort. Dropping it, or what the source calls non-participation, is the cessation of an activity.
Can you give me a real-world example? Let's say I get a passive-aggressive email from a coworker. My blood boils. I want to write a really snarky reply.
Okay, perfect. In that moment, the burning hand is the urge to type that reply. You're gripping the anger because it feels powerful. Repression would be typing the angry reply, then deleting it, then sitting there just seething, telling yourself, I am a good person, I am calm, while your jaw is clenched.
Yeah, that's usually what happens.
The structural approach, what we could call right effort, is just noticing the urge to type, recognizing that engaging with it is the burning, and simply not typing.
So you don't even have to feel better first.
No, you don't have to feel loving kindness yet. You just have to stop feeding the fire. That's the practice.
So it's not about changing the emotion. It's about not acting on it.
It's about not fueling it. And this leads us right into how waiting for conditions just completely destroys the whole concept of right effort.
How so?
If you say, I can't answer this email politely until I feel calm, you've relocated all the effort from the now to the future. Effort stops being something you apply and becomes something you expect.
Right. I become a spectator. I'm just waiting for the calm fairy to show up and fix me.
Exactly. You sit back and wait for the Dhamma to happen to you rather than applying it to the moment. And this kills all curiosity. The technical term is yoniso manasikara wise attention. If you're actually practicing, you ask, what is being fed right now? What am I gripping? What would happen if I just relaxed that grip by 1%?
But if I'm in the waiting trap, I don't ask any of those questions. I just issue a verdict. This is too hard. I'll deal with it later.
And that verdict protects the suffering. There's a concept in the source called the asymmetry of practice that really highlights the hypocrisy here.
Oh, this is the part that called me out personally.
I think it calls all of us out. Notice how we're very, very patient about the good stuff. We say, oh, I can't force calm, I have to wait for it. Or insight will arise when it's ready.
Right. We get all humble. I can't make the flower grow. I can only water the soil. We love those metaphors.
We do. But then we use that exact same logic to exempt ourselves from the abandoning side of the path. We say, I can't stop being irritated yet, the conditions aren't right. But the source argues you don't need special conditions to not rehearse a view.
That's the distinction. I can't force the flower to grow, but I can definitely stop pouring bleach on it right now.
That is it. You don't need a lightning bolt of enlightenment to not justify your irritation. You don't need to be a stream enterer to stop chewing on the same resentful thought you've been chewing on for an hour. That is an active choice you're making, moment by moment.
It's empowering, but it's also really annoying because it takes away my favorite excuse.
It does.
Which brings us to the big scary word in the source, conditionality. Or, what was the Pali? Idapakayata. Gesundheit. Now, usually when people hear everything is conditioned, they think it means determinism. I have no free will. My parents messed me up, my brain is off, I'm just a robot executing code.
That is the spectator trap. It's such a tragic misreading. Idapakayata just means when this is present, that is supported. It explains the mechanism of how things persist.
Okay.
It does not mean this must continue until the universe changes.
So it's an explanation of mechanics, not a life sentence.
Correct. Think of it like a car engine. A mechanic tells you, The car is moving because the gas pedal is pressed. That is conditionality. When pedal is pressed, car moves.
Right.
The spectator trap is sitting in the driver's seat saying, well, the pedal's conditioned to be pressed, so I guess I just have to keep driving into this wall.
Whereas the practice is, lift your foot.
Just lift your foot, exactly. If the chain weren't interruptible, the Buddha wouldn't have taught a path. He would have just said, good luck, hope the universe works out for you. The whole point is that you can intervene.
So if we strip away the excuse, if we stop waiting, we have to confront what practice actually looks like. The Source calls this behavioral diagnostics.
And this connects directly to right view. And this is so crucial. The Source claims right view isn't a theory about reality. It's not about having the correct opinion on metaphysics.
It's a tool, like a compass.
It's an orientation for action. A map isn't the territory. A prescription isn't the healing. The Source gives a litmus test for right view that is just brutal in its simplicity.
Okay.
You just ask yourself, when this view is active, does it make me more able or less able to stop feeding suffering right now?
Ooh. That's good. Can we apply that?
Let's do it. Go back to your I can't practice yet view. When you hold that, I'm too tired to be mindful, does it make you more able to stop suffering? Or does it give you permission to just wallow?
It absolutely gives me permission to wallow. It lets me dive right into the irritation.
Then, functionally speaking, it is wrong view.
Even if it feels true.
Even if you can quote psychology textbooks to back it up. If the view results in you continuing to burn your hand, the view has been hollowed out. It's a hammer that bends every time you try to hit a nail.
This really simplifies things. It's not, is this true? It's, does this work?
Yes. And this is why MN8 is such a powerful diagnostic tool. It just lists these pairs. It contrasts they will be clinging with we will not cling.
Okay.
They will be difficult to relinquish with we will be easy to relinquish.
Easy to relinquish. That's a phrase that really sticks out. I feel like we wear our struggle like a badge of honor. Oh, my defilements are so strong. My trauma is so deep. It's so hard to let go.
We almost brag about how hard it is.
We do.
We make our suffering into an identity. But MN8 is saying the goal is to be someone for whom it is easy to let go, and difficult to relinquish isn't a personality type you were born with. It's a direct consequence of being in the waiting trap.
How? How so? Explain that.
Well, if you believe you need to wait for conditions to change before you can let go, you become difficult to relinquish by definition. You're holding on tight because you believe you have to hold on until the world changes for you.
And the moment you realize you can just open your hand.
You become easy to relinquish.
So let's get really practical. We've bashed the waiting trap. What's the alternative? The Source used a phrase I really liked. Right effort is present moment non-participation.
It's very modest, actually. It's not about heroics. It's not about crushing your ego into dust with sheer willpower. It's much, much subtler.
Okay, walk us through it with the email example again. What is non-participation?
Okay, so you see the view hardening. This person is disrespecting me. The practice is don't side with it. You don't have to fight it. Just don't sign the contract.
Okay.
You feel the urge to justify your annoyance. I have a right to be mad. The practice is don't complete the sentence. Just leave it dangling. You notice that feeling of not yet. That feeling that you'll deal with this later, the practice is. Recognize that not yet is the trap itself.
So it's almost defined by what you don't do.
Yes. It's non-clinging, non-grasping. It's not adding fuel to the fire. The Source says no heroics, no suppression, no waiting, just not adding the extra grip.
Just not adding the extra grip. That feels so much more doable than destroy all craving forever.
And that is why it's structural. You aren't trying to empty the ocean. You are just lifting your hand off the hot stove right now and then doing it again 10 seconds later.
This really recontextualizes the whole idea of progress, because in the temporal view, progress is how far you are along the timeline.
Right. I've been meditating for 10 years. I should be enlightened by now.
But in the structural view, progress is just, are you doing it?
Progress is the frequency of non-participation. It is how often you remember to not add the fuel. That's it.
Before we wrap up, I want to recap the 5 misreadings this Source identified. We've touched on all of them, but I want to lay them out clearly. They're like a diagnostic checklist.
Good idea. Let's run through them.
Okay. Number 1, ontology replaces function. You treat the teachings like descriptions of reality instead of tools to change it.
Right. You're arguing about the map instead of walking the path. Number 2, timeline replaces structure. You wait for the future to solve the present.
Waiting for the fire to go out instead of pulling your hand away.
Yeah.
Number 3, explanation replaces intervention. This is a big one for smart people.
Huge. We explain why we're suffering. Oh, it's my attachment style, instead of actually intervening in the suffering.
We love our explanations. It feels like work, but it's actually procrastination.
Yeah.
Okay, number 4, conditionality replaces responsibility.
You use cause and effect as an excuse to say, I have no choice. And finally, number 5, understanding replaces practice. You think because you get the concept intellectually, you're doing the work. But understanding how a stove works is not the same as taking your hand off it.
That's the killer. You can understand exactly how a car engine works and still get run over by the car.
Precisely. So the verdict of this deep dive is that the path doesn't unfold through duration. It unfolds through orientation.
Which way are you facing?
Exactly. Which way are you facing relative to your own craving right now? Are you feeding it or are you starving it?
So practice just begins wherever grasping is no longer completed. If you interrupt the grasp, you're practicing.
You're practicing, no matter how imperfect the conditions are, no matter how loud your kids are screaming or how tired you are.
There is actually incredibly empowering. Because it means I don't need to move to a monastery or wait for my kids to grow up or wait until I'm less stressed at work.
In fact, waiting for those things is the trap. It's the illusion that the environment will do the practice for you.
So we've unpacked the irony, the trap, and the solution. But I want to leave our listeners with that final provocative thought from the source. It's a bit of a mind bender.
It's a challenge, for sure. If you're out there listening and thinking, okay, I get it, but I really do need to wait for things to settle down before I can commit, consider this. The source argues that the delay you're experiencing is not caused by the conditions.
So it's not the job or the family or the noise.
No. The delay is caused by you actively protecting the very structures the path is meant to dismantle. The waiting is the ego preserving itself.
Wow.
The ego loves tomorrow because tomorrow is safe, now is dangerous, now requires you to actually change.
So the procrastination isn't a side effect, it's the main defense mechanism.
Exactly. So the real question is, what would happen if you stopped waiting for permission to practice? What would happen if you realized that the only thing standing between you and non-clinging is the belief that you have to wait?
That is something to chew on. No more excuses. The stove is hot. Thanks for listening to this deep dive.
Take care.